Hello, I'm Richard Gisbert, and you're at The Listening Post. This week, it's been 100 days since the inauguration of President Barack Obama.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
The media in the U.S. and beyond, and the Obama effect.
The United States has a stake in the well-being of the Muslim world.
Journalists are getting killed in Russia at an alarming rate, and most of their murderers are getting away with it. The United Arab Emirates and the torture scandal that reaches right into the royal family. And the symphonic side of YouTube. Orchestral maneuvers on the net. When Barack Obama was sworn in as President of the United States on the 20th of January, that story and those images made every front page and every news broadcast around the world. In the 100 days since then, President Obama has remained in the headlines. For Obama, working the media is a crucial part of influencing public opinion, both at home and overseas. His first 100 days have had him at the heart of major news stories, the collapsing American and global financial markets, his reaching out to the Islamic world, and the debate over the Bush administration's use of torture, just to name a few. Our starting point this week, President Obama's first 100 days on the global media stage.
Preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God?
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
President Obama got straight down to work today.
President Obama today reached out to the world's Muslims, speaking to the Turkish parliament.
U.S. President Barack Obama's economic stimulus plan.
100 days, less than 1/15 of one presidential term, and Barack Obama is already a record-breaking president in terms of news coverage in the U.S.
President Obama and our money party.
President Obama acted to change U.S. policy.
President Obama today signed a $410 billion.
According to the Center for Media and Public Affairs, in his first 50 days, Obama got more coverage on American nightly newscasts than his two predecessors, George Bush and Bill Clinton, combined.
If you watched George Bush do a press conference, you understood why he didn't do very many of them. If you watch Barack Obama do a press conference, you understand why he's willing to do more of them.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Barack Obama is a very effective communicator. I think one of the things the White House has realized is that the best person to explain the ideas of the Obama White House is Barack Obama himself.
I want people to understand what we've done is created mechanisms.
And it makes sense to send your most popular spokesperson out to explain policy. Sending Tim Geithner and Larry Summers to explain the White House economic plan isn't a very good idea from a PR standpoint. Sending Obama out to do the same makes more sense.
That's the idea, is to try to maximize the amount of time that Barack Obama himself is explaining what the White House is doing to the American people.
What I have said,
Not just to the American people, but to the world.
Talking directly to the Muslim world.
President Obama's first interview was not with a U.S. news channel. It was with the Saudi-owned, Dubai-based Al Arabiya.
Mr. President, thank you for this opportunity. We really appreciate it.
thank you so much.
The symbolism of the Arabiya interview by President Obama was a combination of the timing. It was right after the inauguration. It was the medium that he chose, a major pan-Arab satellite station in Arabic, and it was the message reaching out to the Islamic world.
My job is to communicate the fact that the United States has a stake in the well-being of the Muslim world.
All of these things together were really profoundly important, but in symbolic terms, because there had not yet been a change in policy. But I think rhetoric is the first step towards policy.
Obama's use of the global media as a megaphone to transmit to the Arab and Muslim world continued with his visit to Turkey and this declaration.
So let me say this as clearly as I can. The United States is not and will never be at war with Islam.
Before that, there was his overture to Iran, delivered via new media this time on the occasion of the Iranian New Year.
This holiday is both an ancient ritual and a moment of renewal.
It was the first time that a U.S. president addressed Iranian leaders and called the Iranian government the Islamic Republic. President Obama congratulated Iranians in their own language.
We seek the promise of a new beginning. Thank you, and Eid-e-Shoma Mubarak.
It meant a great deal to them, and that was why they all tried to put it on Facebook, sending in emails, and trying to attract more attention to what President Obama had to say to Iranian people.
Direct diplomacy with Iran
Obama's reaching out to the Bush administration's adversaries, be they in Iran or in Venezuela, has landed him in trouble with some American media outlets.
I think Barack Obama has come off as a kid on the schoolyard that can be pushed around because he's too sweet.
And the pro-Republican Fox News channel has gone after him over his tax policies.
Americans sick of government bailouts and wasteful spending.
Fox was central to the organization of last month's Tea Parties, tax revolts that took place in many American cities.
Fox is doing precisely what you would expect Fox to do with a Democratic administration. I don't think there's been any surprise in terms of the programming, which has been vehemently anti-Obama.
Fox News took the somewhat remarkable step of not just covering these as events, but actually promoting them. They sent their anchors out across the country. All of them throughout the day were doing live shots from various locations. And it was clear they weren't covering the protests, they were part of the protest.
America is sick and tired of being sick and tired of lies and corruption and flushing our country down the toilet.
There is going to be an audience and people who simply do not like this president for a variety of reasons. And Fox is there to tap into those feelings and to stoke them.
The most radical left-wing administration in a generation.
President Obama is well aware of the Fox agenda, as well as CNBC's, the business channel that took issue with his plan to bail out not just the banks, but also some homeowners suffering under the credit crunch.
How many of you people want to pay for your neighbor's mortgage? Raise their hand. How about we all? President Obama, are you listening?
The White House confronted CNBC on that, banking on voters backing the president over corporate media.
I think we left a few months ago the adage that if it was good for a derivatives trader, that it was good for Main Street.
CNBC is essentially the mouthpiece of the financial elites of the country, who are incredibly discredited. I mean, they have essentially no reputational capital left in the public sphere. They're loathed by most Americans. They're blamed rightly for the mess that we're in. So I don't think CNBC poses much of a threat to his agenda.
Another big issue playing out in the U.S. media is torture. President Obama's decision to end the use of torture and to release to the media memos detailing what techniques were used under the Bush administration has sparked an ugly media firefight. Once again, Fox is leading the opposition.
There has been a lot of anger from the political right about the fact that these memos were released.
Today, the Obama administration gave the enemy, the jihadist, the Islamic terrorist extremists, a big psychological victory.
There have been conservatives who have tried to claim that, now Al-Qaeda will know what to prepare for.
They're going to share this kind of information with their recruits, and they're going to say, look how weak the Americans are. If you get captured, look at how they're going to treat you.
But of course, when Obama came in, one of the first things that he did was said that we're not going to use these techniques anymore. So it doesn't really matter if we know what happened.
The U.S. presidential election was the biggest global news story of 2008 by far. And if the first 100 days are any kind of measure, the media, both inside and outside America, both pro-Obama and anti-Obama, just can't get enough of the man who won it. Here's how our Global Village voices see Barack Obama, the media, and the first 100 days.
You have no further to look than President Obama's polling numbers 100 days into his administration to judge the effectiveness of his handling of the media. In the campaign season, it was the media which cast Obama in the role of no-drama Obama, never realizing how well he would grow into the role and how much America would take to his calming and optimistic presence in the White House.
I think it's gone very well for him, but it's probably because he's still in a honeymoon period. He's a very media-savvy person, and he makes such a change from the previous administration that I think people are just pleased to see him wherever he goes. He's definitely come out with some very good sound bites so far.
I think he's handled the media well. I think he's realised that he won the election based on the votes of a younger generation, and he used popular culture to his advantage, I think, so far in these first 100 days.
If you'd like to be one of our Global Village voices, there's more than one way to go about it. There's the old-fashioned way. Email us at listeningpost@aljazeera.net. You can also go on Facebook and look for the Listening Post page, or you can follow us on Twitter. Once you hook up with us on Facebook or Twitter, you can see what stories we're working on. Then you can weigh in with your own views on global media. Time now for Listening Post News Bites. A shocking video has surfaced showing a member of the royal family in the United Arab Emirates torturing a man. The video was first broadcast by the American network ABC and was apparently shot in 2004. Now it's all over the net. It clearly shows Sheikh Issa Al Nahyan, the younger brother of the president, brutalizing an Afghani businessman. At one stage, Sheikh Issa urges the camera to come closer to get a better shot. The UAE authorities did not deny it was Sheikh Issa on the tape, but they said the video did not represent a pattern of behavior and that, quote, all rules, policies, and procedures were followed correctly by the police department, unquote. Taliban leaders clearly want Pakistanis to understand that Sharia law has come to parts of the country, and they're using the media to get that message out. This video showing the execution of a couple accused of adultery was shot on a mobile phone in the district of Hangu and aired on the Pakistani satellite TV channel Dawn News. A local journalist was reported to have been invited to witness the executions and allowed to film it for eventual broadcast. The Taliban is growing in strength, capturing more territory from the forces of the democratically elected government, and videos like these aired on television are likely to have an intimidating effect on the Pakistani people. Like all big news stories these days, the swine flu outbreak that originated in Mexico has a Twitter angle to it. Twitter is the microblogging site where users post short messages and relay them mostly over mobile phones, but also over computers. Among the erroneous information moving in that medium have been warnings against the consumption of pork, even though health officials have not issued such an advisory. New media has the power to inform in ways we've never seen before. The swine flu story, though, is an example of the flip side of that, the power to misinform, to hype, and to scare an already fearful public. There's a media war for political power in Thailand, and even though the government has recently lifted a state of emergency there, that war continues. On one side is Prime Minister Abhisit Vejjajiva. On the other, former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra. In mid-April, the authorities shut down the satellite TV outlet D Station, which the government said is funded by Shinawatra and his overseas supporters. The channel was shut down because, according to the government, its owners were trying to cause political chaos in Thailand. Thai officials also claim that Shinawatra and his backers are using the international media to attack and discredit the current government.
But they've been instigated by the state-sponsored militia.
They say that in response, the government has set up a media war room to counteract any negative or false coverage. After the break, Russian reporters are getting killed in numbers, but is anyone investigating the deaths?